We are the trade gods, but here we are. We are on redraft season. It's right around the corner. And for some, it's here. So we want to go through an exercise a little bit alternate. All our games inform each other. Dynasty informs best ball informs redraft. So right now, redraft, OTC, who do you draft? Saquon Barkley, Jahmyr Gibbs. We had 123 votes, and Gibbs routed Saquon Barkley 67% to 33%. Right now on Underdog, Gibbs is RB3 to Barkley's RB2, and they go neck and neck at the 4 overall spot for Barkley, 5 overall for Gibbs. Me personally, I've been clicking at the 103 after it's Ja'Marr Chase and Bijan Robinson. I'm going 103 Jahmyr Gibbs, a little bit sprinkling in CeeDee Lamb, and that's my hierarchy, and we're seeing it in drafts happen as well. I'm not the only one. It may not necessarily be Gibbs that's trading, but Saquon Barkley is being pushed down to spot 6, spot 7 sometimes, where that's still great value. But for me, give me Jahmyr Gibbs. Where are you at?
I'm firmly on the Saquon Barkley side here. Yeah, I don't want to go too crazy. Now they're back to back, but while I do believe that there's regression coming from a rushing output perspective and a touch perspective for Saquon Barkley, there's still nobody else that's going to handle more touches in the backfield than Saquon Barkley. Now, if we just assume that offensive line is going to remain intact, I know they lost Mekhi Becton, but I'm on a Saquon Barkley side because he's a lock for another 300 carries, and if he converts some of those rushing attempts where he was dragged down inside the 5-yard line, like we're talking about 23, 24 points a game. If he goes back to the elite receiving usage, because he is one of the premier receiving backs in the NFL, then, we're talking about a guy with literal upside that could break fantasy. So again, that's ifs and buts, candy and nuts. But we're talking about the guy who just rushed for 2,000 yards and 13 rushing touchdowns. So I would take that. And I just have questions about, I know Jahmyr Gibbs is about 18 points a game, but with David Montgomery in the lineup. But again, Saquon was 22. He could go to 20, and it's still better than what Gibbs is going to be with David Montgomery in the lineup. Now, David Montgomery's out of the lineup. Jahmyr Gibbs should be the RB1. There's no full stop, no equivocations.
Yes, absolutely. And 0.5 PPR settings, I'm going to go Gibbs clearing bigger. And 0.5, it's a little closer, but I'm still going to go with Jahmyr Gibbs. In the Week 17 matchup against the 49ers, that's the most vivid, right? Because it was championship week, 54% snap share. And Gibbs hung the RB2 overall week, 26.3 fantasy points. The very next week, he had 46 fantasy points. It didn't count for fantasy, but we saw that uncapped ceiling that is just there and exists. So this fantasy ceiling for Gibbs is something that I'll bet on versus Saquon Barkley repeating that 2,000-yard rushing performance on massive volume. So I am just team. I'm going where the ball is going to be instead of waiting for where it's at right now. And it's not a full fade on Saquon, but it's just one of those respectfully. I'm going to go all the way in the manner of Jahmyr Gibbs. Meanwhile, you're going to go Barkley. So this is great TV, great show because we got some disagreement here.
Glad that we hate each other because we don't agree.
Yeah, it's beautiful. We've had some good disagreements lately, and I love it because they're so razor sharp. And right here, Barkley and Gibbs. What's surprising though is the majority who are here with the Gibbs side. They are neck and neck in this early part of round one. That's so wild to me. The discrepancy. There's bullish nature. This just tells me that the very end of the season just hit so hard for people from a dopamine standpoint that, it's Gibbs over Barkley. Very next one, I have redraft OTC. Who do you draft? Jaydon Blue versus Tyler Allgeier, 175 votes, 69% to 31% over Tyler Allgeier. Jaydon Blue clears. I really like Tyler Allgeier a lot. I'd be interested to see what you have to say. But there's been some trade rumors abounding regarding Micah Parsons. If the Falcons, if something were to go and happen there, you could have Tyler Allgeier and Jaydon Blue end up being teammates. Tyler Allgeier, durable, 16 games played in all 3 seasons, had 1,000 yards his first season. There is real asymmetrical upside for Tyler Allgeier. We don't like to think about it with Bijan Robinson out of the way. So what do you want, the asymmetrical upside, or do you want the lightning rocket ship for that third down usage that Jaydon Blue can possibly provide? So I'm going to go, I really like Tyler Allgeier, and where they're both at, they are going in the 13th round. So I pocketed players who are close nearby in this exercise. Blue goes ahead on underdog, but give me some Tyler Allgeier. Chev, what say you?
Whoo, buddy, man, this is a tough one because Tyler Allgeier is gonna touch the ball more than we want to admit. I know I've said it until I was blue in the face. Bijan is my RB1 in all formats. However, okay, Tyler Allgeier is still really good at football. And we don't know. Again, we don't know when Jaydon Blue is going to get the ball. I just don't know. I've been pounding the table for Miles Sanders, and while there's unquestionable juice for Jaydon Blue, runs a 4.35 or whatever, or 4.32 at his pro day, and he catches a wheel route in the college football playoffs for a touchdown. So he's got the pass catching chops. He's got the electricity. He has the juice that they've been looking for since pre-Tony Pollard injury, and that's the role that he pretends to fill in this offense. So this is a tough one for me, but I just don't know when Jaydon Blue. I take that back. I'm going to take a different stance here, and I'm going to say it's when, not if, Jaydon Blue gets the ball, and I'm going to take Jaydon Blue here. I want to take Tyler Allgeier. The safer thing to do, 1,000%, is to take Tyler Allgeier, but in this range, we're not aiming for safe. Now, if you have Bijan Robinson, this should probably be a Tyler Allgeier click. If we're being totally honest, if you do not have Bijan Robinson, you want to go ahead and click the button on Jaydon Blue, because again, it's when, not if. I have no confidence in the veterans. I'm making a bet on Miles Sanders because I believe Javonte Sanders is just that cooked. And what we do know is that a guy like Jaydon Blue is not cooked. So it's when, not if, he gets the ball. He's been impressing in camp. So I'm going to go with Jaydon Blue here, even though we know that Tyler Allgeier is just a hell of a player.
And it is Javonte Williams. You had said Javonte Sanders. I think you're bricked up for Jatavian Sanders. We're hearing good reports about Jatavian Sanders. I mean, it happens.
Aggressive visions, brother. Aggressive.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, it's in the background. Jaydon Blue, it's a guaranteed print, maybe say 8 to 10 points that you're getting, and we don't know what the full capped. There's some capped upside there with Jaydon Blue. You go Bijan Robinson. Remember, this is redraft now. Go Bijan Robinson, pick 2 overall. Then later, against or for your Bijan share, you go and get some Jaydon Blue when you're on the clock in the same pocket of the draft. If you don't have Bijan Robinson, you push against the Bijan Robinson upside, and hey, there's some Tyler Allgeier. So you click. I've been clicking a lot of Allgeier, Braelon Allen, who we'll talk about a little bit later. I click them when I don't have the back who's in front of them, because you're pushing against the asymmetrical upside that can present, because you can have, let's say, a Jonathan Taylor, a Kyron Williams, right? And then if you have Tyler Allgeier, Braelon Allen layered, you may end up stealing a RB1 in that instance. So very good there, Chev. We need a little bit of advice, though, from the Podfather. Let's listen in.
If you play in Dynasty, you need Dynasty Deluxe, our premium package for Dynasty Leaguers. We rank over 300 players, updated every week, all year long. And there's a win now mode and a rebuild mode with superflex and tight end premium controls. And a Dynasty League sync, where you can say, sync down all of my sleeper teams, all my FFPC teams, and then you can browse around your leagues for who has needs, and then you can use our trade finder to see what kinds of trades are happening in leagues that are similar to the one I want to do. Then you can analyze trades using our trade analyzer, which balances the lifetime value, which includes pick values out to like 2028. All of that plus the rookie guide, $25 value, is included. So if you're just in one Dynasty League, Dynasty Deluxe is well worth it. And use your host's promo code, and you can bump up to all in and get $25 off.
So now we have Josh Downs versus Emeka Egbuka. They're very close. They're nearby in ADP. Early round 7 for Emeka Egbuka to late round 7, Josh Downs. 68 to 32%, over 200 votes on this. And PPR, half PPR, I think it's very much the same result you're going to get. People are so high on Emeka Egbuka. We've talked up a ton of Josh Downs, and I love him. But Emeka Egbuka is one of my highest rostered players on Underdog. He is cooking Emeka Egbuka in that Titans-Bucks joint practice. It looks like Alec Manor is doing well as well. Calvin Ridley, too. For me, while I'm high on both, Baker Mayfield cannot stop praising Egbuka. Chris Godwin looking like he could maybe start on the pup. We're seeing Egbuka's ADP rise. We've gone from round 9, and I'm seeing it the trigger pulled in round 6. We could absolutely see, as August cooks, Egbuka at the 4-5 turn come late August, because we're going to get more clarity on Chris Godwin. So if it's bearish on Godwin, it's going to be even more bullish. So I actually think we can see Egbuka ahead of Travis Hunter. I don't think it's crazy to consider Tedero McMillan and Emeka Egbuka's ADP converging. I'm with the crowd on this, and I didn't have to pay anybody. The field is there. The normies are on it. The sharps were on it before. We got everybody who is pants off for Emeka Egbuka season. Where are you at, Chev?
I guess I'll be the one wearing suspenders because my pants are not on, or my pants stay on, rather. So I'm on the Josh Downs side here. I think that he is primed to take a step forward. I mean, he managed to be 12 points a game last year in that putrid passing offense for the Colts. And I think that that's going to be kind of where we land again. I think it's going to be, I don't think it can be worse than what it was last year with the uncertainty and Joe Flacco not really having any sort of rhythm. But Josh, even throughout that, Josh Downs, once he recovered from the high ankle sprain, was really, really good. And so we've seen him be, he is the Colts rookie record holder for receptions in a season. And he takes a step forward last year. And the beat report has been consistent for years with Josh Downs, how he just represents himself. He represents something different than what they've had in the receiver room with a fake alpha and Michael Pittman. No shade to Michael Pittman. He's just not a great player. And I think Josh Downs and AD Mitchell are. And I think that Josh Downs is going to take a massive step forward and remains undervalued. So I'm on the Josh Downs side here.
My hesitation is, and this is going to sound disgusting, but Josh Downs, we really need some Daniel Jones for him to really pop and to hit. You need some of those safe throws over the middle, underneath, intermediate routes. I love Josh Downs. I think he can absolutely be a PPR machine. It's just so funny how decisive the voters are on this, because Downs and Egbuka, now it's one of those things where they're converging and then they're diverging because Egbuka is shooting up the board. So I can understand that a little bit, but we've had very pointed market sentiment. First trade with Gibbs versus Barkley, big time difference, and they're so close. So what's really interesting is how much of a stand all the drafters, all the voters are taking here. So in the chat, let us know who you agree with or don't agree with between myself and Chev. And also, are the voters right? You want to fade the public a lot of times, but right now, I think the public is cooking really well with this Emeka Egbuka one. And speaking of getting cooked, this reminds me of that meme, that video where the guy's like, hey, I'm not going to lie, I'm getting cooked. Caleb Williams getting crushed. Okay, 90 votes, just about 100. We were getting close to that. Again, redraft OTC, underdog is what we're talking about. Late round 9 is Dak Prescott as QB12. QB13 is Caleb Williams in the middle of round 10. Now, I know people will do things based on the build. It's Lamb, it's Pickens, it's Dak. It's Rome and DJ Moore. It's Caleb Williams. So you get the gist of, you run the ladder on ADP. That sorts what's early for later. Hey, I select DJ Moore, I'm more likely to click Caleb Williams. But one for one in a vacuum, Dak Prescott cooked in this one, 82% to 18%. Chev, Is this a reaction or overreaction to maybe these camp highlights where Caleb is throwing, he missed the target on all three, and we're hearing about Ben Johnson being rigid, being tough, and can Caleb Williams play in structure? I believe structure has been a problem for him. He's been able to do, by his talent, fast break football, and it's worked. Now he's in the NFL, and pressure under structure and staying in structure under pressure is a weakness that is showing, not something that he can't get better at. But right now, market sentiment, it seems that the public really favors Dak Prescott. So how much of this is a pro Dak Prescott vote, or is it anti Caleb, or is it a little bit of both?
So in all seriousness, I think that the truth is somewhere in between the what you said with, panic about Caleb and him playing in structure, and then people just having a lot more confidence in Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott gets George Pickens. They draft Jaydon Blue. They add Tyler Booker to fortify the offensive line after the retirement of Zach Martin. So we're looking at a system where, Dak Prescott with Brian Schottenheimer in 2023 finished as like the QB3 overall, and that was, with Jake Ferguson being the second leading target earner. Now those targets are probably going to go to George Pickens. So it's just a much safer bet in terms of return on investment for Dak Prescott, who's almost certainly going to outperform the QB12 ADP if he just stays on the field. So that's why I'm on the Dak Prescott side. This is a high-powered offense that we know is not going to pose any sort of problem about, Dak's ability to operate within the structure. If you just ignore what's like the results of the games and just watch Dak Prescott's box scores, it's one of the most incredible experiences that you've ever seen.
It's funny, you had mentioned Dak Prescott having Jake Ferguson as the second target. Now shift Dak Prescott, Jake Ferguson down in the pecking order, who's such a red zone safety blanket.
Yep.
And you're just printing money. The beauty is we're 2 years removed from CeeDee Lamb with 80 target season. So we can get a bump closer to that. It may not be there with Pickens drawing, right? And also George Pickens has an 1,100-yard season on 106 targets. So imagine Pickens up at like 130, and the quality is in this passing offense where you've got the talent surrounding. So where Lamb is running routes on the field doesn't overlap with George Pickens, doesn't overlap with Jake Ferguson. It's going to be a well-oiled machine, and just the conditions. Another thing that can delineate between Dak and Caleb is late season Chicago or Dallas for the entirety of the season. Give me Dallas in those conditions. So I'm all the way in on Dak Prescott here. Next up, we have Elijah Arroyo versus Cade Otton. They're neck and neck ADP. So as I'm asking these questions there in round 16, there is a stance here. It's Elijah Arroyo. I think what drafters are going for here is that upside. 67% for Arroyo, Cade Otton 33%. So 2 out of 3 and almost 7 out of 10 are on the Elijah Arroyo side. I see a path where he could possibly, Elijah Arroyo, be the number 2 target in this offense behind JSM. Cooper Kupp doesn't sound like he's necessarily cooked. Good cohesion with Sam Darnold. But again, this could be a situation where it's just like a lighter version of what the Dallas Cowboys have going on, and Elijah Arroyo can absolutely be a beneficiary. It sounds like you're in agreement. Cade Otton did have 5 top 12 games last year in 2024, but tight end 14 overall. That upside just isn't there. And I think another factor is Chris Godwin got out of the way, and it allowed for some of that opportunity for Cade Otton. There was that injury. And I think what's going to happen is Cade Otton's going to fall back in the pecking order, because whether Chris Godwin is back or not, hint, hint, we know how good we spoke earlier to Emeka Egbuka and Jalen McMillan, year 2 rise. I think Cade Otton is just a safe play. Maybe you stack him with Baker Mayfield. But if I have to pick one in redraft, Chev, give me Elijah Arroyo. Are you in agreement?
1,000%. And we don't have to spend too much time here. I think that all of the tea leaves and the reports about Elijah Arroyo and how the Seahawks envision him using him give me way more confidence that he would be something. And again, in the ranges they're going in, there's just a point where you just never click the Cade Otton button because it's attached to zero upside outside of massive bad injury luck for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So yeah, give me Cade Otton, or excuse me, give me Elijah Arroyo over Cade Otton here very easily.
And this exercise too for tight end. Earlier we had the Jaydon Blue, Tyler Allgeier. With Tyler Allgeier, while he may not print ceiling points in the event Bijan's injured, it's way high upside. We don't have a situation where Cade Otton would necessarily thrive. We already talked to, what would be that situation, all the injuries that Tampa experienced last year, and Cade Otton still finished as tight end 14. So the upside just isn't there. It's a separate equation, an exercise with these tight ends versus running backs and their asymmetrical upside. Now, here we go. Asymmetrical upside, our last one here, Chev, redraft OTC. Who do you draft? It's Braelon Allen, Jerome Ford, 60-40 split, just under 100 votes that we had. They're both going in round 14. Braelon Allen, though, I'm seeing sometimes 13, and guys like me are getting him late round 12 if it's close enough with how things wrap around on Underdog. I'm loving the upside of Braelon Allen. A little bit of East Coast Detroit here, and maybe if Breece Hall were to be moved, I'm not even factoring that in. Braelon Allen has top 12 upside without Breece Hall. Jerome Ford with Quinshon Judkins, people don't view him as a top 12 running back here. I know Dylan Sampson is in the equation, but to me, Braelon Allen is a clear winner here. How about for you?
Yes, I like the offensive line better. I like the structure and the plan of what the Jets plan to do with Braelon Allen a lot more than I like about what we can maybe contend with the Browns trying to score points. So they were fourth worst in rush yards per game, rushing touchdowns. They only had 8 as a team in 2024. So now you're talking about Braelon Allen with an upgraded offensive line. They've invested heavily in the offensive line. They took Olu Fashanu out of Penn State last year. He's their starting left tackle. Now they take Armand Membu, potentially the best run blocker in the NFL draft, at right to play right tackle at pick 9, I believe it was. And so I have a lot more confidence that they're going to just try to mimic the attack in Detroit with Braelon Allen playing that David Montgomery role, which again, with a structure that they're bringing to the table, and it's going to be more suited towards Braelon Allen, like getting downhill, being used in that David Montgomery role. I don't think that he is David Montgomery, but I'm very, very, very much so bullish on the talent that is David Montgomery. It just so happens that he's in the backfield with a guy who's a literal alien. So I think that Braelon Allen is going to return on investment heavily this year because he's going to get a bunch of opportunities inside the 5-yard line, while Breece operates as the Jahmyr Gibbs type satellite back, led the position in routes run last year, and now they're going to run the ball more and put the ball in Breece's hands in the passing game more. So I am firmly on the side of Braelon Allen here.
Yeah, I love that. And it's funny enough, in this exercise of Allen versus Ford, ironically, which dysfunctional organization do you trust more? And it's not even a question for me. Can you believe that it would just be like by leaps and bounds? It's absolutely the New York Jets and what they have going, especially specific to what you spoke to for their offense, how they're set up for the run game. I absolutely love it. I see the touchdown upside being there for Braelon Allen, even with Breece Hall in the fold. So I love it. I'm going for it with Braelon Allen here. It seems our public is in on that. So, Chev, we had a lot of disagreement tonight. We had a decent amount of agreement. And, of course, we were close on some things, which all this exercise, this was all redraft. Every single scenario we laid out, it was neck and neck even. So the public spoke. Like, comment, share, subscribe. But comment on where you disagree with Chev and I, where you agree, and then how did these votes go? Where are they wrong and where are they right? We are the Trade Gods. We will see you next week.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to PlayerProfiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, Data Analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.